purpose of this DVD is to give you a taste of the kind of bush tracker lifestyle that you can easily achieve on a long-term basis. We're not going to break anything or flog the gear or push them to their limits spinning around in mud swamps or jumping them like rally cars. This is really a sample of the kind of off-road conditions bush tracker trailers can handle. Around fallen trees blocking roads, across creeks, up and down some steep 4x4 tracks and into some beautiful remote regions of our great country that is sustainable for the long haul. Welcome to the world of bush tracker. We are not going to go to the extremes, but rather show you the kind of lifestyle that you can do on a continual basis. All the scenes are real, a few are a bit extreme, but nothing that will hurt the vans on a long journey if you choose to do the continual lifestyle of bush tracker. This is what you can expect to do all the time and what they are built for. No van or vehicle was damaged in the making of this DVD. In the epilogue at the end, we will examine each vehicle and van and you will see they all cleaned up as good as new. So sit back and enjoy a sample of a week in some of the most scenic, undiscovered country in the Queensland bush. Along the way, if you keep your eyes open, there are always little abandoned stretches of highway down to the magic camping spots in the bush. For a break or a bit of lunch or an overnight stay, spots like this are not to be missed. My one rule is always camp out of sight of the main road or highway, but spots like this one are blocked off at the end and no one would notice or care about your stay. Watch out for things like logging trucks and road trains on narrow bridges like this one. Give them the right of way, always. Warnings like this are usually a good sign that this is the beginning of bush tracker country. It never hurts to have a beer with the locals, as in this case, our jump-off point to the rougher country. We were on our way to find the lost wilderness camp called Nathan Gorge. After a welcomed break, we're back on the beaten track again and beginning the last stretch of our search for Nathan Gorge and our first night's camp. Things never look even as half as hard or steep on pictures and video as what they really are. But we're showing you the kind of travel and exploration that Bush Tracker is made for. Not an extreme, but a normal pace of travel.
Somewhere out here is Nathan Gorge, but it hasn't been found for 8 or 9 years. It's a canyon about 25 meters, 30 meters down and 30 meters across, and it's got water in it. It looks like they intended it to be a park at one time, the bottom end sort of precipice national park between Tarum and Krakow, but nobody's been in here for a long time. I haven't been here for 8 or 9 years, and it sort of looks like that Nathan Gorge is lost forever.
Welcome to our Bush Tracker DVD. Essentially what we're going to be showing you here is in and around the Carnarvon Gorge area. We're here to offer you some tips, some hints, and just show you the lifestyle that the Bush Tracker owners enjoy. Now we'll start over here. This is Tracy Bruns, and he'll be towing a 20-foot Bush Tracker by his Dodge Ram. Myself, my name is Matthew Kervink. I'll be towing the 17-foot Bush Tracker over there with my Holden Rodeo, and we have Stephen Gibbs and his 2 daughters, Gem and Jewel, and they'll be towing the 22-foot Bush Tracker with a Ford F350. We've got lots to show you, all the way from various landmarks to just some great camping and four-wheel driving. So we hope you enjoy the trip and the lifestyle, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi, how are you all? We've had a very interesting day today. We've left the coast. We've come through some interesting landscapes. It's forever changing. But the interesting part is when we've left the bitumen and hit the dirt. We've come through Krakow. We've found our way out to a little remote campsite out here. And this is the best part of the day. We've got the campfire going, ready to have dinner, a drink at the end of the day, and we're just here ready waiting for tonight's entertainment. It's going to be the Chandelier of Stars. Thank you. I robbed that one off John Williamson. Is that copyrighted? Here we have a tomato and basil sauce from something I prepared earlier on in the day. We're just going to mix all this in together. Stir that through. Then we're going to put the lid on this with a few coals on the top and just let that simmer away for a while. Mix it with a little bit of rice. That's dinner. A few hot coals on top. Yeah, it should be about 180 degrees. We'll let that sit there for about 30 minutes and it'll be all done.
The early morning cup of coffee. Steve likes the early morning times by the fire, enjoying a good cup of coffee and a hearty breakfast. And Steve does a fine job of it as well, with bacon, eggs and toasted English muffins over the coals before the girls have even gotten up. And here is something not to be overlooked. Notice how Steve puts the fire out all the way to steam before packing up camp. You could use dishwater from out of a bucket. Anything will really do. Once packed up, we're on our way for the day's exploration. This is actually about twice as bad as it looks here on the DVD, but in all fairness, we're not doing anything that is not normal travel for a bush tracker. This is just comfortable exploration in four-wheel drive. With the Bush Tracker's unique design, you are well equipped to overcome obstacles out in the bush just like this.
This is a hygienic way to empty your cassette toilet. That's the way it should look. It's good for the environment. You're not putting it down a sewer system or anything. You're feeding a tree. You dig a nice pit, empty out your loo, cover it back up. It's actually good for the environment. Look, you certainly don't need a vehicle this big to tow a bush track around. Our #1 tow vehicle is actually still Land Cruiser, and Land Cruiser-sized vehicles like Nissan Patrol and such. When you're in the bush, you'll see these little scratches here on the paintwork. They're not really scratches. It's where the dust has lied and the leaves have brushed over it. It'll be a quick washout and they're gone. You might have a couple of tiny little scratches, but the paintwork in modern vehicles is very, very tough. So while this looks like scratches, trust me, don't get disheartened. It's not. You certainly don't need a vehicle this big to do this kind of work. I happen to like it because I can drag a 38-foot gooseneck horse float with it. So that's why I've got it. You certainly don't need dualies and such, but it's nice, and the extra width, it doesn't really hurt you any. These scratches will buff right out. They're mostly dirt disturbed by the leaves and a little bit of tree sap, but not a drama. Now, on the vehicles, when we're in the rough going, you're gonna want, in the corrugation, to drop your tire pressure down to about 25 pounds. These are bagged out pretty good. It's a big van. We're not going to be going too fast, but we have about 3.5, 4 hours worth of corrugation, maybe 5 hours worth of corrugation to do today. So we got the tire pressure dropped down to about 25 pounds. Land Cruiser, as I was saying, is still our #1 sized vehicle. Tracy likes towing a boat around. We both have very large families, so we like the bigger tow vehicles. They are not necessary. I probably would advise a little bit larger tow vehicle than that Rodeo. That's sort of on the small end of things, but even it will do the job. Land Cruisers, Nissan Patrols are still the #1 most common tow vehicle. Here's a spectrum of the very small end of a tow vehicle and then the very large end of a tow vehicle, but both the directors have 3 and 4 children. We've got big families we have to travel with, and that's why we prefer the big vehicles. My dually is way overkill. That is totally unnecessary for Land Cruiser, but keep in mind this is a dual purpose truck, and for towing my big gooseneck horse float, well, it's marvelous for that. And it's nice and comfortable out here with a big family as well. Anyways, good morning. You can see the sign down in the end there, Nathan Gorge. It's not there. It's still there, but it's hard to get to. We pushed it hard to the limit, so you'll see some of the film. But in all fairness, it's been abandoned for about 20 years, and in the last 8 or 10 years since I've been here, the tracks are completely grown over, and it's embarrassing to say as leader of this little unsuccessful venture, but I flat out couldn't find it, and I don't have my horses with me. Anyways, good morning. We're going to go do some more country, even more interesting than this. So we'll show more to you as we go along.
We've taken the opportunity of checking the hubs this morning as well. After a little bit of driving, it's quite simple. Just go around, put your hand on the hub, and just make sure you've got no problems with your bearings or anything. The dust caps are all in place, so we're all ready to roll.
Good evening. Caught us in a bush camp here. Look, a common problem when you pull up is you'll get out of the tow vehicle and look at the van and it's just a little bit out of level. Now, a lot of people think jack legs are designed to do that, and they're really not. Jack legs are sort of designed to stiffen the van up, and with bush truckers you really don't need them at all. So the easiest way to handle this is look around, and I've never been anywhere in Australia where there wasn't a little bit of sand to scuff with your feet, or a few bits of timber, or a few little rocks. And it's a simple job to just sort of estimate, wow, maybe I'm 50 millimeters out of level, so grab 75 millimeters thickness of timber or rock, or build a little sand pile in front of the tires while the engine's cooling down, put it in low range and creep forward, and then before you shut down, get out and have a look at the van, and there we are, home and hosed and nice and level.
Got the fire going tonight. Not just another barbecue again. We're going to have a stir-fry wok Thai dish tonight. We've got some chicken and almonds with a coriander and basil flavourings. And you don't have to rough it out here in the bush. This is 5-star dining all over again. This is what happens sometimes. But we'll be back. We'll get out of here. Just take a little bit longer than we planned.
I can only say one thing. It's a beautiful spot to get into, but sometimes you gotta wonder. And you also don't want to put yourself in this kind of a situation unless you have a winch and recovery gear, obviously. But prospectors and things going for gold nuggets, this is a massively beautiful area for fossicking and prospecting. There's petrified wood all over the place. This is a magic spot. And look, you wouldn't do it unless you had a winch. You wouldn't do it unless you could recover from the situation.
Got a big tree over there, but all we've got to do is get this winch cable around that. We're out of here. Right, what we've got to do here in hooking this up, you really shouldn't be putting the cable just around the tree. You can get tree protectors, but I've left mine at home. My snatch strap is just going to have to work for that, so we don't damage any of the tree here.
Well, hello there again. thought maybe I'd just show you some of the treasures of this little area. It's particularly rich in petrified wood. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a nice little nubbin of petrified wood, and where the wood grain turns up and then you can see the annular rings. It's quite a nice piece. The area is covered in petrified wood, and there's quite a bit of evidence of earlier fossicking around here. Here's another piece of just interesting grain in the sapwood and the softwood. Down here on the ground you can see quite a little bit of collection. Here's another particularly interesting piece that shows you the annular rings, and it shows you a little knot on the side of the petrified wood. This is the reason that people come into really rough spots like this. They come in here because the fossicking is good, either for opal or petrified wood or gold. There's evidence of people coming into this area long ago. I found these little bits. Now this piece of pottery here is very, very old. It has some old English inscriptions on it. It could be 100 years old. And some of this other interesting glass from earlier campfires is evidence of some of the early visitors to this site, as well as the petrified wood. And I found somebody's old iron fossicking tool lost down in here. They must have found something really nice that distracted them, and they left this behind. Treasure to me. I think I come back with 20 or 30 kilos more junk each time I go out bush, but this is the spice of life. This is what makes it worthwhile. This is why you have a bush tracker. You get off of the track to the remote areas where there's gold nugget fossicking or good barramundi fishing or any number of hobbies, from paleontology, bone digging, to fossils, to all sorts of things. I love it all. And the further you get off the track, the further you get out bush, the better it gets, because people with normal equipment just can't get in here. This one is particularly interesting. Not only can you see the grain of the hardwood, but on the ends of it, it appears to be starting to opalize. I don't know if you can see it, but in the right light, you've got some rainbow colors in the end of this, where this piece of fossilized wood on the ends is opalizing, which makes this really quite an interesting piece to combine. I'm not sure I've seen that, to combine opal and fossilized wood. Now, I have seen quite a few opalized shells, and those are worth quite a bit to collectors, but this appears, if this was just a tad better, this would be a nice little piece with fossilized wood with opal on both ends. I really love this kind of thing. Makes going out bush really worthwhile.
Bush Tracker will pretty much go anywhere the tow vehicle will, and in some ways even easier. The trick to long-term travel with no damage is just to take it easy and crawl through. You will discover some really beautiful spots when you get off the beaten track, just like this one. Water has cut some fascinating patterns into the rock face, and we've got this spot all to ourselves.
There we've got Stacey setting the fire up. Well, surprise, surprise. What's Matty doing? He's having a drink. How's it going, Matty?
Yeah, really good, really good.
Is that cool? Good training. Go on, say something like, work faster, woman.
Yeah, come on.
Why don't you take a break from the firewood and get me another beer?
Yeah, that's it. Give yourself a rest. Go get me a beer.
You can have some of these. Marinated steaks, corn. We got more than we can eat.
What you need is smell-o-vision.
Tender sweet corn, good wine, fire, no flies, no mozzies. If it gets any better than this, I don't want to know about it.
Nothing is better than waking up to a beautiful sunrise in a beautiful place just like this. That's what memories are made of.
Still can't hardly believe it. It's a solid hardwood tree that's broken off, and somehow this prickly pear has gotten a foothold in the top of it, growing happily. Might be the very definition of the word tenacity.
This is just how easy it is to close the watertight door, for dustproof reasons as well. Only Bush Tracker has this feature. In severe dust, a 50mm foam packer in the top of it will further enhance this advantage. As always, you can crawl over just about anything, but easy does it, as you and your bush tracker will be happier for the long haul.
Well, we've got body armour.
Hey, bush tracker, no problems. This is what they're made for.
It is the voyage of discovery off the tourist track that finds some of the most unique places and are the most memorable. You will only leave wishing later you had spent more time there. In the end, you'll go back to the best of them. Normally these big gum hardwood trees blocking the road would cause you to turn back, adding another 150 kilometers to your trip. But not with a bush tracker.
that was close.
Tracy is just trying to attack the problem at too steep of an angle. But if once you don't succeed, try again. Tracy takes another approach at a right angle, then no drama. In some of these spots in the high country, it's almost like you can see forever. Some of these tracks are a lot steeper than they look here on the film. The trick is just to creep along with engine braking in low gear. Remember, you're not in a rush. Take the time to stop and soak in the beautiful little things that most would miss because they're in too much of a hurry. Remember, the more you look, the more you discover. Here is another spot. Although it does not look it on film, it's so steep you could hardly walk down it. But if you don't make it, slowly back down and give it a little bit more of a run up.
Back him down far enough where I can get by, we can show him up. the ranch. I wish. Beautiful area here. High meadow we found, surrounded by rim rock. Beautiful, with water running through the middle of it. Sure make a beautiful horse and cattle ranch. I wish. Beautiful spot, and there's two colts out there. They might have been run off of a herd of Brumby that's up higher. They're wild horses. I reckon that probably they're two young colts or stallions that have been run off out of the herd by the head stallion. That's a guess anyways, but they're definitely two colts or young stallions. We've been looking at them through the binoculars, and they're both beautiful. In this meadow here, they're not skinny. Beautiful horses. Magic. Magic, the kind of country you can find when you're wandering around on your own like this. You never know what you're going to stumble on next. It's all kind of a voyage of discovery, so to speak. Anyway, for any of you horse lovers, thought maybe you'd like to see those two. They're really beautiful. You're right, we carved in an emu footprint here, carved in.
You know what? I think everybody in the city, whether they admit it or not, wants to get out in the bush sometimes, because this is where it all happens. Like out here, every day's a Sunday. We've got a roast on tonight in the camp oven. Everything's looking pretty good. Why don't we have a look at it, see how it's going? I can hear it sizzling away. I haven't put the vegetables on yet. Just a bit of a sticky beak to see how it's going. Oh, I think we're on track. We'll get the vegetables organised. Get those on in the other camp oven on the side. And we're all in the lifestyle mode that everybody should be doing.
Don't listen to him. Bush tracker means ice and scotch. The elixir of life.
And cold beer.
I second that notion. I'm about to get my third.
And Gemma's cooking.
I think Dad's
Can you fault that?
Keep her.
Yeah.
Just checking on dinner. We've got the leg of lamb in this one. We've got the veggies in this one. It's going to be another 5 minutes and we'll just see how it all turns out. And stick around, we'll be straight back to have a look. The moment of truth. You know, good things are worth waiting for. Oh, look at that. Oh, how good's this? Wait till we put that out in the plate. Okay, let's slice this one up and see how it goes. Oh, look at that. Does this come out any better? Moist, tender. Does it actually come any better? If you have a bush tracker, you'll know all about it. Cheers.
There's no need to abuse the equipment, just take it steady and you can make it through with ease. A little hint for when driving through dusty areas is to keep the pace down, and a moderate pace keeps you from hitting the locals.
Bush tracker, real caravans for the outback.
Feast your eyes on this, above Springsure, looking out to the west for 100 kilometres in the distance.
Well, we're another one of those magical spots. Off the beaten track and nobody really knows about it. Panning off these cliffs here, sort of to the north and east towards Emerald, we're up above Springsure now in the highest point. There's one more little stretch of track we can go on up to get one more higher perch looking down, but it's this beautiful big rock country. It's something you can just sit and soak in for a few hours. I think it's just something, it doesn't tire on you. It's worth the drive here, I can assure you. Fantastic! The view is magnificent! I'm on top of the world!
Out here, the views are breathtaking and definitely memorable. After coming back to the Bush Tracker factory, we spent some time cleaning the trailers and getting them ready for the next trek out back. Steve's truck cleaned up as good as new. All the vans cleaned up nicely, windows all polished right up just by hand.
Oh, okay.
The interior of Steve's van as good and tidy as new. Tracy's van as good as new. Have a look at the interior, just like before it went on the journey. The little Rodeo cleaned and washed comes up like new, as well as a 17-foot van, just like it had not been anywhere. Come to the factory for a visit, see how they are built on the inside, and then you will know for yourself why we are #1 in the Outback. The rest can copy our style, but there is only one Bush Tracker.